There are 33 questions on the Unit 8 test, so I'm going to try to go over quickly 33 examples and see if we can help review. Okay, I'm going to do this one two ways. It says convert 4/5 to its percent equivalent. Okay, so the first way would be to divide. Fraction bar means divide, so I'm going to take 4 divided by 5, and I get 0.8. And then if we change 0.8 to a percent, we have to move our decimal 2 places. So it'd be 80%. Okay, the other way we could do this, 4/5 is 4 out of 5 parts. Okay, percent literally means per means divide, cent, breaking the word into its parts, cent is 100 parts. So if instead of dividing this into 5 parts, I could easily change this one into dividing it into 100 parts instead. So if I take that times 20 over 20, why did I pick 20? Because I know 5 times 20 is 100, or I could take 100 divided by 5 to find the 20, and I get 8 parts out of 100, which would literally be 80%. 2 techniques, 1 problem. The next problem, they ask us to convert 86% to its decimal equivalent. Okay, we just went the opposite way in the last problem. We had a decimal, we changed it to a percent. So 86%, all I have to do is move my decimal 2 places to the left, because percent literally means divide by 100. So it'd be 0.86. I could write 86 over 100. I guess you could even type that in your calculator if you wanted, and it would give you 0.86. To convert 29 hundredths to a percent equivalent, we're going to take 0.29 and we're going to multiply by 100, so we get 29%. So this time our decimal is moving 2 places to the right. To convert 125% to a mixed number, percent again means divide by 100. So I could write 125 over 100, which would be the same as 1 and 25 hundredths. So if I divide out one group of 100, I took out one whole group. So 125 minus 100 leaves a 25. And then, of course, we always need to reduce fractions. So that'd be 1 and 1/4, if I write that right. Sorry, it's like walking and chewing gum, writing and talking at the same time. Now this one's going to be a bit odd because they're giving us a small decimal to start off with, and then they want us to change it to a percent. To change a decimal to a percent, we multiply by 100, so it's going to go times 100 there. So when we multiply by 100, what ends up happening is we move our decimal 2 places, so we're going to get, it's still going to be a decimal, 0.13%. So that's a really small number. What percent of always means times, 382 is, always means equals, 267.4. So to undo times, I'm going to divide both sides by 382. And I'm going to get a decimal because I see my numerator is smaller than my denominator. So when I use my calculator, I got 0.7 as a decimal, but then we want it as a percent. So we need to take that times 100, and when we multiply by 100, our decimal moves 2 places. So that's going to be 70%. Now I've been intentionally leaving the other problems up so we can try to see some patterns, but I'm out of room, so now I need to do a new page. There are 15 streetlights on Main Street. 80% are working. How many streetlights are working? Okay, so it's helpful if you reword the question. So what we want to know is, what is 80% of 15? Okay, they told us the total was 15, 80% are working, and they want to know how many are working. Okay, when we reword it into the simpler question, it makes it a lot easier to work. Okay, is always means equals, of always means times, and I can write 80% as a decimal, move my decimal 2 places. So I'm going to have n equals 0.8 times 15. And all that's left is to type it in the calculator. And I get 12 streetlights that work. The election returns for the Senate race are listed in the chart. 46,000 people voted, so that is our total. How many votes did McKinsey receive? So out of this entire chart, all I care about is McKinsey, and they got 37% of the vote. So I want to find is 37% of 46,000. So I'm going to change 37% to a decimal. So I need to move my decimal 2 places to the left. And I forgot my variable in the beginning there, so I'm going to fit in x is equals 37% of is times, ooh, I should have used an n instead of an x. Okay, n equals 0.37 for 37% as a decimal. Of always means times 46,000. Okay, now that we've reworded it, it's really straightforward is what we need to do. And we just need to use a calculator and multiply. This would take a while to do by hand. Not impossible, but a while. So we get n equals 17,020. This is a straightforward one. What percent of always means times, is always means equals, what percent of 300 is 93? So all we need to do is divide both sides by 300. And we get P equals, use the calculator, 93 divided by 300. And we get 0.31, which is as a decimal, but we want it as a percent. So we need to multiply that by 100, which moves our decimal 2 places to the right. It's getting bigger when we're multiplying by 100. So we get our final answer as 31%. Okay, watch out when you type these in your calculator. You don't do it backwards. You know that 93 is smaller than 300, so your percent should be less than 100%. So you should get a decimal less than 1. Donnie had 90 marbles. He gave his little brother 27 marbles. What percent of Donnie's marbles were given to his little brother? Okay, so his original total was 90. And then the part he gave away was 27. So the question you're asking is, what percent of 90 is 27? So our equation is going to be P of always means times is always means equals. What percent of 90 is 27? So to solve, we're going to divide both sides by 90. And we get P equals 0.3, which again, they wanted to know what percents. They want us a percent, not a decimal. So we have to take that times 100, which moves our decimal 2 places to the right. So we get 30%. A CD is discounted 20%. The amount of the discount was $4. What was the original price of the CD? Okay, I'm going to rephrase the question again. What we really want to know is 20% of what number, we're going to find the original number, is $4. Of always means times, is always means equals. Now we can write our equation. I want to change 20% to a decimal, so divide by 100. So I've got 0.2, of means times, what number, is means equals, $4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.2, and I get N equals $20. Now, if you wanted to check, because you're taking a test, you want to be sure you have the right answer, you can substitute it back into the original equation and make sure it works. So take 0.2 times $20, I'm going to do it, and I get $4, and I know I'm right. That's a little check step. Carlene's weight is equal to 31.5% of Simon's weight. Carlene weighs 75.6 pounds. How much does Simon weigh? Okay, first thing I want to do, I know I always want to change the percent to a decimal, so I'm going to divide by 100, move my decimal 2 places to the left. So that's going to be 0.315. And I'm going to let Carlene's weight be K and Simon's weight be S, so I can write a little equation. So I've got K is always means equals, of always means times. Oh, I have an equation. So K equals 0.315 times S. And then they told us that Carlene's weight was 75.6 pounds. And my writing with a stylus leaves something to be desired. Oh, it won't let me erase. Oh well. Okay, times S. So all I have to do is divide both sides by that really pretty 0.315. Not very good at 5s with the stylus yet either. I'll get better. And I get S equals 240 pounds. Okay, I don't know if I expected it to be that much. Let's check and make sure that's right. I'm going to put my numbers back in. If I substitute 240 back in for S, if I take 315 times Simon's weight, I should get 75.6. Does it work? Sure enough, 75.6. So it was right. Translate nicely. 36 means equals 0.45 for a decimal for 45%. Of always means times. Okay, we should be good. 36 equals 0.45 times what number? So to undo times, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.45. And I get N equals 80. In a bag of 50 candies, 12 are green. What percent of the candies are green? So our total is 50, and the part that we know is 12. Okay, one way that we can do percent is percent always equals part over whole. I put T, so I'll put total. So for this one, I could do 12 divided by 50, and we get 0.24, which when we multiply that by 100, changes it to 24%. Okay, that may be a different way than the content in the videos did it. They would have done what percent of 50 is 12. So then they would divide both sides by 50. And what do you know? We get the same exact answer. So two different ways of solving the same problem. If one works better for you, use it. You don't need both. So when I divide 1,500 by 13,500, I get 0.1 repeating, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And they said round to the nearest whole percent, so I'm going to multiply by 100, and this 1 is less than 5, so it's going to round down. So my final answer is going to be 11%. Does the change from 419 to 457 represent an increase or a decrease? We went up in the tens place, so it is an increase. So the new is bigger than the original. The enrollment at Green Elementary School dropped from 1,295 last year to 1,023 this year. Find the percent decrease in enrollment. Round your answer to the nearest whole percent. Use percent in your answer. Okay, so to find the amount change, we're going to find the difference, and I'm just going to go get a positive difference. It makes us happier, even though this is, they said it dropped, it's a decrease. The new is less than the original. And we always have to divide by the original. So the difference in the numerator is 272. And we have to divide that by our original. And when we divide, we get 0.2100. Okay, so don't care. So when they said round to the nearest percent, we multiply by 100, we're going to get 21%. That one came out nice for rounding. Oh, sales tax, the world we live in. So it says to add a 6.5% sales tax to $6.99, round all answers to the nearest cent. So we need to find what 6.5% of, so I need to change that to a decimal, so it'd be 0.065 of, so times my 6.99. Oh, I didn't mean to write the whole equation up there, but I guess I did. So if we multiply 0.065 times 6.99, we get a tax of, rounding to the nearest penny, 45 cents. And they wanted us to add it on to our $6.99. And we get $7.44. Jamie's favorite brand of jeans are on sale for 30% off. The regular price is $28.99. What is the sale price? So we need to find 30% of the $28.99. So of always means times. 30% as a decimal would be 0.3. and we get the price. So 28.99 times 0.3, and we get a discount of $8 and, okay, it says $8.60. Again, talking and writing at the same time. $8.69.7. So that's going to round up, which is good for her because this is a discount. So it's going to be $8.70 off. So they want to know what the sale price is. We need to take the original and subtract the discount. And we get $20.29. That's a lovely zero. And that would be the final price of her jeans. Alexis bought a high-powered telescope at a 35% discount. The regular price was $309.15. Sales tax was 8.75%. What was her total cost? We're on all answers to the nearest cent. First thing we want to find is her discount. So we're going to take 35% of $309.15. And we get a discount of $108.20, rounding to the nearest penny. So we need to take her original and subtract to see how much she's paying. And she pays $200.95 before tax. So the sales tax is 8.75%, so we need to take that times 0.0875 as a decimal to get our tax. And she gets to pay $17.58. So I need to add that on. And we get a total price after tax of $218.53, which in the world we live in, we have to pay sales tax, and it's fun to shop with discounts. This is about the hardest question in the unit, I think, the most steps, but it's practical. It's one that we use, hopefully. Okay, this one is just the sales tax. What is the dollar amount of the sales tax on a $33 item if the tax rate is 6% of the original? That's a quick one. So 33 times 0.06 is $1.98. And that's all there is to that one. Make my 8 nicer. Oh, that's better. Write an equation that represents the question below, using n to represent the unknown. So what percent, that's our unknown, of 250 is 3750. And that's the equation, and we're done. I picked out 2 of those. What percent, so that's our unknown, of 35 is 193. And they didn't say solve it, so we're done. If an item is priced at $94, is discounted 30%, what's the amount of the discount? So we want to know what is 30% of 94. So 0.3 times 94 is 28.20. So this time they just ask what's the amount of the discount, not how much they're paying, so we don't need to subtract it. We're done. Okay, this is about the same problem. The manager of a shoe store orders tennis shoes for $63, and the store uses a markup of 40% on tennis shoes. What's the markup? So just like what's the discount, all we have to do is find 40% of 63 They didn't ask for what you're actually paying retail. They're just asking what the markup would be. So typing that in the calculator, the markup is $25.20. Guess what? This is about the same problem again. Becky's a sales associate in a clothing store. She receives a 15% commission on all merchandise sold. If she sells $28,000 worth of merchandise this month, how much will she earn in commissions? We want to find what's 15% of 28,000. Wrong, 2,800, 2,800. She would like it if it was 28,000. So her commission would be $420. Okay, here's another one of these that I said is probably the hardest in the whole unit. Travis wants to buy a backpack that has a 21% discount. It was originally priced at $37.68. The sales tax is 5.5%. What is the total cost of the backpack? Okay, so first we get to take off the discount. So we're going to take $37.68 times 21%, and rounding to the nearest penny, I get $7.91. And then I'm going to subtract that from the original price. To see how much he has left to pay. So he's got $29.77. Oops. Now Uncle Sam's got to get his share. So we're going to take, after his discount, we're going to take that times, when we change 5.5% to a decimal, we move our decimal 2 places. So we 0.055. And we get his sales tax. So Uncle Sam is going to get $1.64, rounding to the nearest penny. So we have to add that on. So he is going to pay. So this total that they would pay at the cash register would be $31.41. The owner of a designer shoe store uses a 28% markup on all shoes. If the owner pays $355 for a pair of shoes, oofda. What is the selling price of the shoes? So we're going to find the markup, which we did before, but then we're actually going to have to add it back in to see how much they sell for. So we need to take 0.28 times 355 to get the markup. Okay, so he's marking his shoes up a measly $99.40. And we need to add that to the original price was $355. So the people that can afford to are going to pay $454 for that pair of shoes. Good night. If $500 is invested for 6 years, so there's our principal is $500. The time is 6 years, and it's earning an interest rate, I think they use R, of 7% interest. How much interest will be earned? Okay, we're just doing simple interest, so we're going to have 500 times 6 times 0.07. So this is a lousy bank that is not giving you interest on your interest, compound interest. This is just simple interest. Wow, that's not bad. In 6 years, they'll get $210. It's not too bad. But if it were compound interest, they'd be getting interest on their interest, and so they'd actually get a lot more than that. Read the problem before you do the problem. Herb's invested $6,250 for 7 years in a bank paying 4.25% simple interest. What is the principal of Herb's investment? Principal is the amount you invest. Don't do anything, you just write down the answer. The principal is $6,250. That was an easy problem, but if you don't read the whole problem, you try to work it, you'll waste time that you don't need to. So if they ask for the principal, it's what you started with. John opened a savings account with $500. The account has an interest rate of 6% compounded semi-annually. If John does not withdraw or deposit any money, how much will he have in his account after 1 year? So he's going to have 2 compounding periods. So at the end of the first 6 months, he's going to add 500 times 0.06. He's going to add $30 to the 500 he already had. So now at the beginning of the next period, he's starting off with $530, which he gets interest on his interest. So if we take 530 times the 6% again, he gets $31.80 this time, added to the 530 that he had, and he ends up with $561.80. Find 18% of 854. Multiply, and we get 153.72. If $1,575 is invested for 96 months, earning 5% rate of interest, how much interest will be earned? Okay, they didn't tell us that they wanted us to do simple interest, and it's compounded annually. Those 2 things I would have added to the problem. So 96 months, 96 divided by 12 is 8 years. So I need to take my principal times 5%, and we're doing simple interest for 8 years, and multiply. And so we would earn $630.